Hey, I'm Steven and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So here we are once again discussing some of ARK Invest's research around the genomics revolution. For those of you who aren't quite up to date, I recently established a long position in the ARK Genomics ETF, and in addition I also have some options in play. Just to be very clear, one of these is an investment, one of these is a bet. The investment is in shares of the ARK Genomics ETF and the bet is the options. Very high risk, potentially high reward. Do not try this at home. The reason that I've established both this long position and have some options in the ARK Genomics ETF is quite simple. I believe we're now at prime time. Just to set the scene, I'm a total nerd and I've been nerding out and geeking out on the progress in genomics for about 20 years since I first heard about the Human Genome Project, which was successfully completed in 2003 with the sequencing of the first full human genome. These days, it's able to be done for a fraction of the cost in a fraction of the time. Add to that the progress of artificial intelligence, big data and plenty more, and I believe we're really ready for a revolution in healthcare that ultimately will end suffering for millions of people, extend healthy human lifespan, and create an entire revolution in healthcare, longevity, and well-being. For those of you who aren't familiar with my style of investing, it's probably a little bit different, a little bit unconventional, and so far it's working out relatively well. See, I prefer to make very few investment decisions. I'm not the kind of person that's just going to scatter capital here and there and hope and dream and wish and want. Not a great strategy. I'd rather really think my way through an opportunity, analyze from every possible angle, let all this information percolate, get to a point where I have an extremely high level of conviction and confidence in the technology, the product, the company, the industry, whatever it is, and then go all in. Example, from 2010 to 2015, I was all in on Australian real estate. Worked out okay. From 2016 to 2020, all in on Tesla stock. Worked out okay. And from 2021 until further notice, you guessed it, all in the genomics space. So in this video, I'm going to share some research from ARK Invest in a white paper around the potential for the genomics space to absolutely revolutionize healthcare, longevity, and human well-being. And just for the record, I would love to be able to identify just one or two or three companies that I thought had enormous potential in the genomics space and invest in those stocks instead. But at this point in time, I don't have the level of confidence to actually make that decision. I'd rather give some of my cash to ARK Invest in the ARK Genomics ETF, at least as an interim step until I can figure out who do I want to invest in. And maybe I'll just leave it in the ARK Invest fund because you know what? I think ARK Invest are relatively good custodians of my capital. Keeping in mind the extreme levels of volatility within the genomic space means there's likely to be some stocks that will shoot up 10, 20, 30, 40% overnight, and the reverse is also likely. Bad results from a clinical trial could send one or two stocks tumbling. This volatility actually gives ARK Invest enormous opportunities to generate alpha. See, if ARK Invest has a stock that shoots up too much, they'll trim their position down a little bit of capital available. At the same time, another company might have fallen off a cliff. Doesn't make sense, they invest in that. I suspect, and I will put this on the record, that over the next 5 years, there is a better than even chance that the ARK Genomics ETF, ARKG, will outperform Tesla stock in terms of percentage gains. Now, I'm not saying this will happen, but I am saying that I believe the probability is better than 50%. So with that said, let's get into the video. But first, hey guys, if you live in the US and you'd like to help out the channel and get up to 4 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 2 free stocks between $2.50 and $250 each just for opening an account. And if you deposit $100, you'll get a further 2 free stocks valued between $8 and $1,600 each. That is an obnoxiously good return on your investment. I mean, really, deposit $100 and you'll end up with, at minimum, $21 worth of stocks, a 21% ROI on your money. And if you're in Australia, the UK, or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake also using the link in the description. Let's get back to it. Genomics Innovation, a catalyst for growth, the genomic age. Over the last 5 years, we have passed key inflection points in the ability to access, manipulate, and understand the molecular building blocks of the human body. The cost to sequence a genome, once a 9-figure, nation-state-worthy project, has dropped into the hundreds of dollars. Editing DNA is becoming an antidote to pervasive chronic disease. For the first time, living therapies are likely to cure certain diseases with just one dose. Bioinformatics is tying DNA sequencing data and therapeutic initiatives to patient outcomes, providing scientists, corporations, and clinicians an unprecedented understanding of how the human genome can break down and how it might be mended. The genomic age of medicine promises profound ramifications for human health and for the companies involved, among them tool providers that enable basic research, sharpen the precision of diagnostics, and guide personalized medicine. Diagnostic platforms deploying data that informs the treatment of disease, other companies deploying technology and data to create next-generation treatments and cures, increasing returns on therapeutic research and development for the first time in 20 years. ARK Invest estimates that by 2024, therapeutic pipelines and tool providers should generate hundreds of billions of dollars in new revenue and trillions in new market capitalizations as they transition to the genomic age. I just want to take a quick pause here to reiterate. ARK Invest and I believe that in the coming years, we're going to see literally trillions of dollars of market capitalization created in the genomics space. That is an enormous investment opportunity, like absolutely enormous. And of course, the only reason that this trillions of dollars in market capitalization will be created is because the enormous amount of positive good that genomics is going to do for people's longevity, health, and well-being. Talk about a win-win situation. Technological platforms catalyzing the genomic age. Next generation DNA sequencing. The human genome is the blueprint of human life. The genome's 3 billion letters determine how Homo sapiens grow, live, and thrive. Bones, eyes, and all matter and manner of human beings, the similarities and differences are encoded compactly in a microscopic spaghetti string molecule, aka DNA. Completed in 2003, the Human Genome Project was the first systematic attempt at decoding the whole human genome. The project cost roughly $2.7 billion and took over a decade. Fewer than 2 decades later, the cost to sequence a human genome has dropped to less than $600, and according to ARK Invest's research, should drop to less than $100 in the next 5 years. I just want to take a pause here to emphasize a couple of things. The first of which is the astronomical decline in cost to sequence a human genome. I mean, this is absolutely bonkers. From billions of dollars to hundreds of dollars in the span of like 2 decades. This is crazier progress than we've seen in the exponential growth of technology. In fact, here's an analogy. The internet in 1995, the future potential, the future economic impact, all the opportunities, etc. I believe that the genomic space is where the internet was in 1995, except I think there's even more upside. The second thing I want to emphasize is that DNA is literally code. This isn't an analogy or metaphor. DNA is literally code. Run that code on a biological computer and you end up with a human. We're beginning to understand what this code does and means, and far more importantly, with gene editing, we're now able to change this code, fix bugs, add things, upgrade, improve, etc. Are you guys seeing where I'm going with this? These lower price points have been and will be critical in driving the adoption of genomic sequencing. Despite its rapid decline, the high cost of sequencing has prevented its use in fundamental research until recently. Below $1,000, the case for clinical adoption becomes more compelling. Powered by sequencing, diagnostic tests are becoming cheaper and more comprehensive than legacy tests. ARK Invest forecasts that clinical adoption of next-generation DNA sequencing, NGS, will drive volumes from around 2.6 million in 2019 to more than 100 million in 2024, as shown below. And just a quick reference here, this growth in genomic sequencing, this is a log scale. If you don't know what I'm talking about, get on Google. This is a really important thing to understand. This is a crazy amount of growth, and the implications here, huge amounts of data, which means that AI, deep learning can run through, learn, yeah, there we go. You guys are getting it now, aren't you? NGS is the foundation for precision medicine. By sequencing inherited, germline mutations, clinicians can understand an individual's predisposition to conditions such as coronary artery disease and cancer. NGS can also diagnose rare inherited disorders in infants, a process that took years previously. NGS is likely to transform oncology profoundly. Unlike predispositions to germline mutations, patients can contract somatic mutations that spontaneously lead to cancer. With machine learning, clinicians can now profile a patient's tumor for somatic mutations, surfacing the best therapy to treat it. Indeed, given the recent research advances, an early-stage pan-cancer detection test could become commercially available within the next few years, with profound impacts on human health. If every stage 4 cancer were detected instead in stages 1, 2 or 3, the US cancer mortality rates could decline by as much as 25%. Time to do some quick math. Now just imagine you've invested in a company that can enable this early stage detection of cancer, preventing 25% of annual cancer deaths in the United States. Around 600,000 people per year die from cancer in the United States alone. So if 25% less people die, that is 150,000 lives saved. Now I know this is just arbitrary, but just for the point of this exercise, let's just say hypothetically that we value each of these lives at a nice round number. Let's say $1 million each. Again, I'm not trying to put a value on actual human life, just an exercise in thought. We are talking now at $150 billion worth of impact just from cancer patients who are now no longer passing away because of earlier detection of their cancer. And this is just one of the many areas that the genomic revolution is going to have an enormous outsized impact, reduce suffering, help people live long, healthier lives. Think about the social and economic impact of just 150,000 cancer patients per year surviving every single year just in the United States. And again, this is just a tiny sliver of what's possible. We can extrapolate a lot from here. CRISPR gene editing. Clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats, CRISPR for short, thank fuck for that acronym, gene editing technology has accelerated the pace of modern biotechnological research dramatically. Thanks to its accessible cost and ease of use, CRISPR has democratized the use of genome editing. While gene editing debuted during the biotechnology boom in the 1980s, studies of viral invaders and bacterial immune defense systems led to the discovery of CRISPR in 2012. The first targeted edit was in a yeast cell during the 1980s as shown below, but the major gene editing breakthroughs have taken place in the last 10 years. Gene editing technology could become the major breakthrough for medicine in this century. I tend to agree with this point. I mean, as I said, DNA is just software. Once we understand the code, we can edit, change, fix bugs, improve, upgrade, whatever we want. And I know there's a whole other ethical discussion on this. I'll save that for another video. And now for a quick look at the timeline of the development of gene editing technologies. In the 1980s, first targeted gene editing performed on yeast cells in several laboratories. In 2002, the first targeted gene edit was made in an organism. This was an absolute breakthrough. Fast forward to 2016, first AIDS patient treated with ZFN treated stem cells. 2016, the same year, first cancer patient treated with CRISPR-edited immune cells in China. 2017, first FDA approval of CRISPR-based clinical trial. 2019, first human dosing of CRISPR and first patient data released. In other words, we're at the cusp of a revolution. CRISPR gene editing technology is now ready for prime time. CRISPR is a novel platform in the bioengineering space that is accelerating innovation in basic research, drug discovery, animal models, drug development, therapeutics, agriculture, diagnostics, data storage, and material sciences, to name a few. Oh, is that all? According to our research, CRISPR's addressable market in the monogenic disease space could scale to $75 billion annually, with nearly $2 trillion in latent demand from unaddressed populations, as monogenic diseases account for only 2% of all genetic diseases. Not to labor the point too much, but you guys are starting to understand why I'm so excited about investing in the genomics space, aren't you? I mean, that was $2 trillion with a T, not a B. $2 trillion opportunity. The addressable market for living drugs in oncology could exceed $200 billion annually. Enabled by gene editing, these applications could extend well beyond oncology, impacting the longevity of human life materially. As some of you folks will have heard me say in the past, I plan on living long enough to live forever. I know a few of you thinking this guy is so high. I mean, that may also be true, but I genuinely believe this is a possibility. We now have the understanding that in fact, we can do things to repair, improve, modify, and change our own DNA, enabling us to live longer, healthier lives. Now just consider this. The rate of progress of medicine is about to go through an enormous exponential boom, really extending healthy human lifespan by a number of years, materially. What happens when a 35-year-old like myself is 70 years old? 35 more years of progress in gene editing, gene therapy, DNA sequencing, artificial intelligence, modern... You get it, right? Exactly. The longer we can make it, the longer we will make it. And I do understand some of you are miserable sods. You don't want to live forever. You'd rather drop dead as soon as possible because life is suffering. That's okay. You do you. My plan genuinely is to live as long as I possibly can to try to reach longevity escape velocity, the point at which modern medicine is actually extending healthy human lifespan by more than 1 year on average every year. Bioinformatics. Healthcare data is powering these breakthrough biological technologies. With connected and specialized medical devices, patients can contribute longitudinal information on their responses to treatment. In turn, machine learning can enhance the efficiency of R&D as companies monitor clinical studies, determine best practices, and tie underlying biology to health outcomes. Against this backdrop, spending on the medical Internet of Things could approach $200 billion by 2024. Potential impact on listed equity markets? ARK believes that the genomic age could create trillions of dollars in equity market capitalization by 2024. Advanced molecular diagnostic tests could command tens of billions in annual revenues, while connected medical devices generate hundreds of billions, and living drugs in oncology alone more than $200 billion. So once again, I ask the question, can you guys start to understand why I'm so incredibly excited about the genomics space, not only from a personal goals point of view, but also from the investment opportunity point of view? So we're now looking at pharma and biotech returns on drug R&D, research and development, and potential trajectories factoring in the genomic revolution. So basically this line, the lower this line is, the less effective R&D dollars are, the less return they're getting on the investment. You can see over time there's bumps, blah, 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 but over time the long-term trend is really, really down. Not looking pretty. But look at the implications from ARK's research here. 2 times pricing for curing chronic conditions, 25% time to market reduction, and 10% trial phase failure reduction, which in my opinion, probably pretty conservative estimates when you factor in the power of deep learning, artificial intelligence, huge amounts of data. But even so, look at the potential trajectories. These things are basically going vertical. This is where the enormous potential is. This is why I'm investing around here before things head to the moon. The genomic revolution could lead to more effective and efficient healthcare, longer lives, and by the way guys, just imagine this. In the next decade or two, we're going to see healthy human lifespan extend by many years, could be many decades. Just imagine that, living another 10 healthy years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 plus years. I know to some of you this sounds insane, to others it sounds inevitable, but this is where we're heading. It's just a matter of how soon does the advance take place. Fewer surgeries and dramatic value creation. In 2019, publicly listed drug development companies spent $100 billion on research and development, nearly double the amount spent 5 years earlier. Marginal changes in the return on that investment could add trillions of dollars to the value of enterprises involved in drug development. While the commercial ramifications of the genomic revolution are likely to be profound, the impact on human health will be even more so. Genomics might be the force behind precision medicine, but the convergence of NGS, AI, and gene editing could cure disease. So guys, I just want to emphasize something here. Words matter. I agree with ARK here. Those final words, could cure disease. Not cure a disease. Not cure some diseases. Cure disease, as in no more disease, period. Gone. The word disappears from the English language. It is no longer relevant or useful because it no longer exists. Any of them. Gone. This is why I'm so excited about genomics. This is why I'm so heavily investing in this space. It's ready for prime time. As I mentioned, I've been fanboying and nerding out over this stuff for 2 decades, and finally, the genomics revolution is here and ready for prime time. I, for one, plan to participate both as an investor and a beneficiary of the enormous advancements in technology. And I'd love to know in the comments below, are you guys and girls excited about the genomics revolution? Would you like to participate in it, live longer and healthier lives? And of course, are you investing in the genomics space? If so, what stocks do you own? What ETFs? What companies are you interested? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. And don't forget, if you live in the US and you'd like to help out the channel and get up to 4 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 2 free stocks between $2.50 and $250 each just for opening an account. And if you deposit $100, you'll get a further 2 free stocks valued between $8 and $1,600 each. And if you're in Australia, the UK or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake also using the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.